We'll start with everyone's favourite storyline, Vince Russo and Dusty Rhodes, which is undeniably the main event program in this company at the moment.
Yeah.
So if you remember, there's a whole bunch of drama because Dusty gave Jeff Hardy a title shot, and Vince Russo's not happy that Dusty gave Jeff Hardy a title shot, even though Jeff Hardy earned his title shot by beating Monty Brown.
And because, Vince said do whatever it takes to get that contract signed. And he offered him a very reasonable thing of a title match.
Which is, in TNA precedent, D'Lo Brown was offered the same deal, if you remember, Liam.
Yeah, Vincent.
D'Lo came in with a promised NWA title match, so there is precedent for this. But so the entire month is Vince Russo and Dusty being mad at each other.
And doing the same segment.
Over and over again. So NWA-TNA pay-per-view number 106, August 4th. It opens with Scott Hudson meeting Dusty Rhodes outside as he arrives. And Dusty's like, I smooth things over with Vince Russo, daddy. And I'm going to be named to the championship committee today, daddy. Because Vince Russo's naming his new championship committee. David Young walks by being like, Vince Russo fired me, I'm sad. And Dusty's like, whatever.
Dusty's like, I don't care. I got a job for life, daddy.
So then later in the show, Russo's announcing his brand new championship committee. And it's a lot like when Russo was announcing that AJ Styles would face Jeff Jarrett. You had Raven sitting backstage looking at the monitor, super excited at that time. This time it's Dusty backstage looking at the monitor, being super excited. He's like, he's going to announce me on the championship committee.
He's hanging out with AMW. They're just boys hanging out, ready for the announcement.
Mm-hmm. Russo's doing his freaking same old. It's like, I'm a changed man. I have inner peace. I'm doing the right thing. I'm not going anywhere. Crowd boos. So he names his championship committee, which is Larry Zbyszko, Harley Race, and Dusty's like, it's going to be me. And then he names Terry Funk as the third man, who is actually never seen in TNA. He's on the championship committee. He's never seen.
That's fine. I hope they were paying him just to use his name.
Dusty's real mad. He comes out. He's like, I delivered Jeff Hardy to you. Why are you still mad at me? And Russo's like, you shouldn't have given him a title shot. Even though, again, he earned the title shot. He beat Monty Brown. He earned the title shot.
Well, he got the title shot before that. He was promised the title shot, and then he had to defend the title shot against Monty.
Yeah, but he still earned it.
Yeah, it was... Vince is mad on principle, not on what happened.
So they're talking forever. So, of course, what happens when two people have been talking forever? Jeff Jarrett appears.
Mm-hmm.
Jarrett's like, look at you, Dusty, you're on the outside looking in. This is very funny because Jarrett's trying to look into the eyes of Dusty while cutting this promo. But Dusty is pacing back and forth up and down the ring doing a giant strut. And you can tell Jarrett's a little frustrated because he has to match Dusty stride for stride to continue to look in his eyes. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, Jarrett just looked pissed off in this promo entirely. Dusty would cut him off, and he's like, shut up, man, let me speak.
So Dusty starts strutting, Jarrett tries to cut his promo, they get into it, Hardy runs out. Dusty goes to hit Jarrett with a guitar, Monty pounces him, Truth comes out to make the save as Truth and Hardy stand tall.
Woohoo.
There's going to be so many more of these segments. A little Jeff Hardy note. Jeff Hardy surprised several co-workers by showing up early for both the pay-per-view and Impact tapings. And also, by all accounts, he's not only fitting in with TNA wrestlers now, but he's telling people he's really enjoying participating in the wrestling business again, and that TNA management is giving him more incentive to build around him. Whereas early shows, there was concerns about his commitment.
He's hanging out with Kaz. He's like, Kaz is the coolest. I love being here.
The current 2022 X Division champion is a good influence. NWA-TNA pay-per-view number 107. We open with a 3 live crew match against Team Canada, where Team Canada won with a hockey stick, but then Dusty came out, told the referee what happened, who restarted the match. Conan rolled through in a crossbody, giving them the win to make them number one contenders of the tag titles, by the way. We'll talk about that in the tag section. Russo, though, was once again mad that Dusty has involved himself in the decision-making process, even though he has no authority here.
Which I was also mad about. I was like, what the fuck, man? You have no authority here. How come you get to make this decision? And you did it to make the 3 Live Crew win? Fuck you.
That is the biggest travesty here, making 3 Live Crew number one contenders for the tag titles.
Instead of a cool Divine and Young match?
So later in that show, Mike Tenay makes the official announcement that the September 8th will be the date with Faith, as Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy will face for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. That's the new big match they're building to. It's the same like format as Jarrett Raven, where they announced the match pretty much 6 weeks in advance. For this one, 5 weeks. So they're building to the big September 8th Jarrett and Hardy match.
Cool. I mean, it's the biggest match they can do, so why not? But
yeah, Monty comes out. He's mad. He's not in the match. He wants the winner. Then Truth comes out. Truth says you have to earn your spot. They brawl. Then Dusty comes out and books the match between the two next week. Even though again he has no authority here.
It is a good bit that the guy with no authority keeps like making just executive decisions.
Well, when the other guy who's supposed to have authority keeps making mopey faces, whereas Dusty's just like, you wrestle. It's like, oh yeah, he is the better leader here, isn't he?
Yeah, but I can't just walk into someone's workplace and start making decisions for him.
Yeah, but Vince Russo will be like, bro, I don't know what to do. The two guys, they keep fighting, bro, and I don't know how to settle this. I don't know how to get them to stop. I'm putting my face in my hands, bro. I'm looking all sad.
Now he has Larry Z and Terry Funk to make that decision for him.
Later in that show, Franchise had Russo and asking him about Dusty making all these decisions. He says there will always be a place for Dusty Rhodes in TNA so long as Vince Russo is there. Jarrett interrupts. Russo says why would he listen to Jarrett? Jarrett points out that he's been trying to do things the right way, but then everything's been going bad for you and you have no friends. Styles interrupts and says, no, I'm Vince Russo's friend, and then Jarrett and AJ brawl into the building. Monty comes out, AJ drop kicks them both, Monty bounces AJ, Killings makes the save, Monty and Jarrett get the better of them before Hardy makes the actual save.
The most upsetting part of this is AJ Styles being in the general vicinity of the main event scene. Because when he's X Division champ, he escapes the Jarrett verse.
Yeah, it's weird because he's still in an X Division feud this month. He's feuding with Kid Cash, but yeah, he's in the orbit, which is upsetting.
He's in the orbit of planet Jarrett.
You can't escape it. Its gravitational pull is simply too strong.
Ugh. Yeah, gravitational pull, not a gravitational push. For anyone but him. I made it work.
Impact number 11, August 13. Dusty comes out. He interrupts the card rundown. He knows that D'Amore... Oh, because Vince Russo has banned D'Amore from interfering from now on. He's not only banned from interfering, he's banned from ringside. Whereas Dusty's like, I know he'll interfere. Yeah, I'm just going to beat him up if he does.
Yeah, and good old-fashioned fist fight.
He's just... I like that. It's just... He's going to still interfere. Vince Russo's a dumbass idiot for not thinking he will. So I'm just going to show up and fight him when he does.
Well, actually, Vince is in the right? Because if he does interfere, then he has legal obligation and he can fire him. And then, but Dusty ruins that by getting into a fist fight with him and then making them liable. So technically, Vince was one step ahead and Dusty ruined it.
He can countersuit for assault.
Yeah, so once again, Dusty fucking everything up.
Petey Williams versus Chris Sabin for the X title on August 18th. D'Amore tried to interfere on Petey's behalf, but then Dusty ran him off. Sabin hit the cradle shock, but the ref was distracted by the Dusty and D'Amore brawling. Rude ran in, Northern lariated Sabin, Canadian Destroyer. D'Amore tries to cheap shot Dusty, but then accidentally hits Petey. 3LK dragged D'Amore to the ring. D'Amore and Dusty face off for a second, but D'Amore bails. Then Russo shows up and gives out to Dusty once again.
So, there's not going to be a lot of discussion about what's going on. It's mostly just going to be letting you know what's happening.
It's the exact same angle, rinse and repeat over and over again. Vince Russo says don't get involved, Dusty gets involved, Vince Russo's mad, they shout at each other. That's all that happens this month across every single television show.
And it's like every feud kind of has that formula too, because the tag teams is just the same tag match 7 times.
Yeah, it's just Triple X and MW, which you would think you wouldn't get tired of that, but only the first match is good. And it's just nothing is happening in this company. It's just the same segments every week.
Not a lot of in-depth discussion going to come from this podcast this month, or not even like fun rambling us yelling about things either. Like it's just going to be finding out what happened.
There is nothing to say about it. There's nothing. Like, Dusty's not even good anymore. He's just rambling. He loses his train of thought halfway through half his promos. He forgot Jeff Jarrett's name at one stage. It's just like, Dusty's not even fun. It's just a bunch of dumb people who don't wrestle who are shouting at each other, and they won't even give me anything good.
Yeah.
I just have to look at sad Vince Russo over and over again. I have to stare at his just run down, disinterested face as he's so upset that he has to make the smallest of decisions and he's still moping every week. And he's so upset that Dusty just wants to fight Scott D'Amore. Later on this show, Dusty and Russo are arguing. Monty wrestles Ron Killings. Killings hits an axe kick, but Kid Cash runs out to pull the referee out. Styles runs off Cash, but the distraction allows Monty to hit the pounce and win. Then we get more drama between Russo and Dusty. Russo wants Dusty to follow the rules. Famous rule follower, Vinny Rue. And then
he's a new man.
Russo's like, don't make me do something I don't want to do. I told you, for as long as you work here, bro, you got a job here. And he seems to suggest that Dusty is pushing him toward firing the American Dream.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, I'll think of something to say about it. I thought the segment where they were backstage yelling at each other,
right,
was at least done in a different environment.
It's true, it was outside.
And that made it a little more fun. And I liked that they were both telling Hudson to fuck off.
No, I liked Scott.
Yeah, but they were just like, what? Get out of here, you pervert.
Scott has also started adding like witty one-liners to the end of all his interviews.
Starting.
But usually he's like, whoa, I'm aghast. Back to you, Mike and Don.
I can't believe what I just witnessed.
But like the segment where Abyss eats all the shrimp, he's like, I hope you wrote some lemon for that shrimp. It's like, hey, well done,
shrimp.
Scott. Good job. Naturals defeat Conan and BG by DQ to retain the tag titles. We'll talk about all this stuff in the tag stuff again. D'Amore tried to we probably won't actually because nothing actually happens. D'Amore tried to interfere, but Dusty
get it all out of the way now.
Dusty intercepted again. Dusty hit Andy Douglas with a hockey stick, but Posey saw it and called for the DQ, allowing the Naturals to retain the tag titles. So Impact number 12, August 20th, we open with Petey Williams versus Eddie Villa. Actually, we don't open, that was middle of the show. Canadian Destroyer for the win. D'Amore comes out, Dusty confronts him. Team Canada attack D'Amore, Trail K makes the save.
I literally just did like the Naito half fall asleep.
Franchise has Russo. He wants to know what Russo's going to do about Dusty. Russo's like, I need to cool off, bro. I'll do something on Wednesday. Scott D'Amore runs up. He's mad. He wants to know what he's going to do. Russo's like, you're out of line, pal.
Everyone on this show is like, I'll work it out on the next one. Don't worry.
Everyone's kicking it down the line. Jeff Hammond, by the way, who we haven't even mentioned yet, and he's been on the show for 2 months. He's doing these 6 points of impact interviews where he's just talking to a dude. He's like,
I think they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're solid. They're nice little interviews. It's just
like a worse version of TNA's segments.
He just wants to run down some story beats. The guys do promos, and then he joins commentary for like the main events on Impact, and he is perfectly serviceable.
Yeah, I like the Larry Z one.
Yeah, so he's talking to Larry Z here. He talks about Harley Race. He talks about the struggles of a champion, how Funk is a wild card and Dusty's ego is humongous, and thinks Russo and Rhodes is a ticking time bomb. So D'Amore interrupts the card rundown on this and challenges Trio K and Dusty to get it on right now. Dusty took down D'Amore, but then Russo brought out security and separated everybody.
Boo.
See, again, this speaks to Vince Russo's bad leadership in that, like, these two men want to fight. If you let them fight, then they wouldn't be interrupting the show every week anymore. So
Whoa. Scott D'Amore ain't a wrestler, okay? He's a manager, he's a coach.
Hey, he had a 15-minute match with Jerry Lynn. That's a wrestler if I've ever seen one.
Sure did.
Last pay-per-view of the month, August 25. Team Canada came out.
It's been the worst rundown ever.
It's the same segment, Liam. I'm so sorry.
Don't even give details. Just bust it through. Let's go.
Demanded answers from Russo. Russo came out. He looking sadder than ever. This is the saddest he looked this month. Russo comes out. He says D'Amore needs to make an appointment if he wants to talk to Vinny Rue. He can't just call him out. Russo tells D'Amore to get out of his face, and he will never tell Russo to do his job. Dusty and Trio K come out. Team Canada bails. Dusty condemns the Canadians for taking all the Americans' jobs. Calls him out. Then Russo suspends Dusty Rhodes and bans him from the building and has security eject him.
I like Don was like, oh man, I don't know if I can kick out Dusty Rhodes. I feel bad. And then Dusty's like, fuck you, do it. And then he's like, alright, well fuck you then, I will.
No from BW Torch. Some wrestlers are chuckling at the ego of Dusty Rhodes. This is, I think that he's developed over the last month or two because the push he's receiving on television. Dusty considers himself the most overrated face in the company, and he hasn't been shy about saying that while in the earshot of other wrestlers. And also, he's probably right. So
yeah, but like he shouldn't be. Like he is, but he shouldn't.
It's him or Jeff. no one else. Maybe AJ. AJ, people do like AJ. Scott Hudson had Larry Z later in that show. He's focused on September 8th. The Championship Committee are just focused on the Jarrett and Hardy title match. They want none of this business with Dusty and Russo over on the side.
That was literally the same segment that Larry Z did last time too, which is very funny.
So there was meant to be a 6-man tag team match on the show. It was meant to be BG, Conan, and Dusty against Scott D'Amore, Eric Young, and Johnny Devine. But because Dusty has been suspended, that becomes a handicap match, which 3LK are not entirely happy with because Russo's fucking him over again.
Damn.
Dusty showed up at ringside, laid into D'Amore. BG pinned Devine with a pump handle slam, but the man who stated, Liam, on the record, he will never overturn a referee's decision, Vince Russo came out and overturned a referee's decision.
Yeah, that's fucking storytelling, Garrett. Because they're doing the will he turn to be a bad guy again? He's going back on his word. I'm sorry that you couldn't pick up on the nuances of this wrestling storyline in the NWA-TNA.
He already went back at his word when he overturned the Killings decision.
Yeah, but that time it wasn't a part of a storyline. This one is.
Okay.
Duh.
And the one Dusty segment I liked this month was the last Impact of the month where he shows up in the crowd and Vince Russo's like, get out of here, get him out of here. He sends Don Harris to eject him, and then they cut to a shot of him just sitting there having a drink with Don Harris 2 minutes later.
Yeah, it was like a red drink.
Drinking some kind of punch.
I was very confused as to what he was drinking.
I will say, though, Dusty did the whole I have a ticket thing. You didn't need a ticket to get in the Impact Zone.
Well, he had one.
There was no tickets. It was not a ticketed system. You stood in line.
Well, he bought a ticket to go to the front of the line.
Brought his own ticket.
That's even funnier. I have a ticket. You don't need one.
Team Canada defeated what was honestly my favorite job team on Impact so far. Ron Steele, Bruce Steele, Mikey Batts, and Jarrell Clark.
When they were coming out and it said the Steele Brothers, I was like, yes.
Because they all came out together.
This is the time.
It was the highlight of Impact this month to see all those 4 men make their entrance. So D'Amore shouted at Dusty. Dusty said he had a ticket. Dusty got stuck into Team Canada before security separated them. Russo had Dusty ejected before Petey Williams pinned Jarrell Clark with a Canadian Destroyer.
Let's go to the other very exciting storyline of the month, the heavyweight title scene.
Hey, there's one more thing. Russo shouted at him.
No,
Trio
there
backed
isn't.
him up.
You lied.
There you go.
Oh, what a shock. Okay. Thank God we got that in.
The 2 men who shouted at each other all month continued to shout at each other.
This, podcast is actually just a good representation of watching 2 people, go crazy. You're watching the deterioration of 2 people throughout this entire show. We started off with such gusto, and we were an hour and 15 minutes in, and it's pure unhinged chaos already.
Because we had to talk about what's actually happened on this show, these shows, which is nothing. Nothing happened.
You know what it is? You know what energy we're in right now? 4th hour of recording.
Yeah, and we're only an hour and a half into the actual recording. Oh.
But this is how we are during our last hour normally.
Can you imagine how we are when we get to Goldilocks?
Well, that's going to be the highlight. That's just going to bring us back.
The best of the rest stuff is probably the best stuff this month.
Yeah. The Raven stuff was good, and so was the Goldie stuff. That's why we're going to save it to the end, to give us a reason to keep going on.